Howdy, folks. I'm Fair and Wise. Thanks for joining Consuelo and Ethan for today's podcast. Before we get on with it, my good friend Toby Eunice wanted you to know that he's added a link in the description box below this video. The link will enable you to download a 10-plus page document on the subject of today's podcast. You may find it helpful. Now let's get on with the program.
Hey there, fellow treasure hunters. I know for a fact that the thrill of a good treasure hunt is something you guys know all about. After all, you were right there among the estimated 350,000 people chasing Forrest Fenn's hidden treasure. I mean, talk about an experience deciphering clues and just scouring the wilderness. But you know what? Get ready for a whole new chapter in treasure hunting history. Because today we're going deep, doing a real deep dive into a nationwide hunt designed specifically with you in mind, the Fenn treasure hunters. That's right. Our subject today, it's Jon Collins-Black, known as JCB. And get this, he's a former Fenn treasure hunter himself. He's hidden count them, 5 treasure chests across the United States, and each one is overflowing with millions of dollars worth of treasure. I mean, are you kidding me? A real-life treasure map coming true.
You know, what's so fascinating about JCB's whole approach is how he's built upon the Fenn treasure hunt. It's like he's taken the torch and is running with it, you know? He's tapping into that same community of searchers, but expanding the scope. And in a way, he's made it more accessible, wouldn't you say?
Yeah. Accessible is the key word here. Remember all those back and forths, all those debates about whether Fenn's treasure was actually findable? Were the clues too cryptic? Was the terrain too dangerous? Well, JCB's taken those concerns to heart, and he's hidden his treasures in safe, reachable spots. Nothing more than a couple of hours hike, and always within 3 miles of a road.
Smart strategy, right. It really opens up the hunt to a much wider audience. Some hardcore Fenn fans might say it kind of takes away from the rugged, adventurous spirit, but I got to admire JCB's efforts to create a safer, more inclusive experience, especially considering some of those, well, unfortunate incidents that happened during the Fenn hunt.
You said it. He wants this to be an adventure, not some crazy survival test. He's even discouraged searching during winter, to minimize the risk. Now let's get to the good stuff. The treasure itself. Remember Fenn's treasure, that incredible mix of gold nuggets, rare coins, historical artifacts? Well, JCB has taken that and, he's turned it up to 11. I mean, we're talking gold coins, we're talking precious metals. There's even a 2.25-ounce gold nugget straight from Alaska. But here's where it gets really, really interesting. He also included things that really get to the heart of what it means to be a Fenn treasure hunter. For example, there's a super rare first edition of The Thrill of the Chase. And wait for it, it's signed by Forrest Fenn himself. Can you even imagine the feeling of finding that?
It's mind-blowing. It's like JCB's deliberately woven elements of the Fenn hunt into his own puzzle. It's like a tribute, but also a challenge to those who spent years on Fenn's clues. It's a seriously clever way to tap into that knowledge and passion that's already out there, while introducing brand new elements and challenges.
And get this, he's not just thinking about the history buffs either. There are rare Pokémon cards, a Michael Jordan rookie card, imagine that. And even, get this, a Casasious Bitcoin, the first physical Bitcoin ever made.
Oh, wow. The Casasious Bitcoin, that's a fascinating one. It tells me JCB's not only in tune with trends in collecting, but he gets the whole cryptocurrency thing too. Especially among younger treasure hunters, it's huge. It's a really smart way to broaden the appeal, maybe even attract a new generation of searchers.
It's like he's created a treasure hunt time capsule, a collection that captures all sorts of interests, passions from all kinds of people. And speaking of time capsules, we got to talk about the historical artifacts. I'm talking items owned or even created by figures like George Washington, Pablo Picasso, Jackie Onassis, even Amelia Earhart.
I'm really struck by how JCB's curated this collection. It just oozes adventure, discovery, George Washington, the founding father, the guy who led the exploration of a whole new nation. And then there's Amelia Earhart, the pioneering aviator who pushed the boundaries of flight. I think JCB is drawing a parallel between these historical figures and the treasure hunters themselves.
It's like he's sending a message like, hey, you're connected to these incredible people who dared to explore, people who pushed boundaries, people who made history. And just like Fenn's hunt, the clues to these treasures are hidden within a book. JCB's book, There's Treasure Inside. And this is where the structure gets really, really interesting, especially for you seasoned Fenn treasure hunters. Remember how Fenn's poem, The Thrill of the Chase, was like the Rosetta Stone to finding his treasure?
Yeah, that poem had a very specific structure, a certain rhyme scheme that everyone was trying to decode. It was like learning a whole new language, figuring out the nuances of how Fenn wrote his poetic techniques.
Exactly. And here's where JCB takes a page from Fenn's book, so to speak. He's written a poem, a 24-liner to be exact, using the same style and stanza as Fenn's poem. Same rhyme scheme, same meter, the whole 9 yards. It's like he's throwing down the gauntlet, challenging you to use those skills you honed during the Fenn hunt, to decode his words, to crack the code.
It's brilliant. He's playing directly to the strengths and interests of the Fenn treasure hunting community. He's basically saying, hey, I see your expertise, I respect it, now let's see what you can do with this. A new puzzle, a new challenge that builds on what came before, the legacy of the Fenn hunt.
And just like Fenn's treasure, there's a hierarchy to JCB's hidden riches. You've got the grand prize, the big one, the lion's share box, and that one needs you to decipher clues from all over the book. But then there are 4 smaller treasure boxes, each with its own theme, and those might be a bit easier to crack.
The cool thing is these smaller boxes, the Forest Fenn box, the Appalachian Trail box, the Past and Future box, and of course the Pokemon box, they each have their own chapters in the book. So you could totally focus on one box in its chapter if you wanted to.
Exactly. You could go all in on the Forest Fenn box, with its gold nugget, the signed book, that mysterious olive jar. Or, hey, maybe you're a Pokemon fanatic, ready to snag those rare cards.
Yeah.
Either way, JCB's created a treasure hunt that's multifaceted, and it lets people engage on different levels.
It makes it more accessible and maybe even faster for those after the smaller treasures. And for those going after the big one, the lion's share box, it adds a layer of strategy. Do you go for the overall code first, or do you tackle those smaller boxes, hoping those clues will point you to the ultimate prize?
It's like a treasure hunt inside a treasure hunt. And speaking of the Forest Fenn box, there's one item in there that's giving me goosebumps, and it's probably making every Fenn treasure hunter's ears perk up.
Oh, are you talking about Fenn's olive jar, the one that supposedly held the blaze, the memoir, the one that led to Fenn's treasure?
You got it. JCB's put Fenn's olive jar right in his Forest Fenn treasure box. I mean, come on, this is just mind-blowing.
It's pure genius. He took an object that's so meaningful to Fenn treasure hunters and made it part of his puzzle. It honors Fenn's legacy, but it also acknowledges that deep connection so many people feel to that hunt.
It's almost as if he's saying, hey, I was one of you, I get it, but now let's see if you can take it to the next level. But wait, there's more. JCB says there's a secret message inside the jar, a message only he knows.
Okay, now that's intriguing. What could it be? Is it a clue to JCB's main treasure? A personal message from Fenn? Something totally different. It's another layer of mystery, and it plays right into the curiosity of Fenn treasure hunters.
This guy's a master at keeping us on the edge of our seats, that's for sure. And don't forget, there are actual treasure maps in his book. A map of the Appalachian Trail, hinting that one of the boxes could be hidden somewhere along that famous route.
Right, and there's also the treasure map from Fenn's own book, Too Far to Walk. This has got to get the Fenn treasure hunters buzzing. What's JCB doing here? Is he blending elements of Fenn's hunt into his, or is this misdirection at its finest?
He's playing mind games with this, no doubt about it. But here's where it gets even crazier. JCB, who's supposed to be this Fenn treasure hunt expert, he makes a weird mistake in his book. He says Forest Fenn's hometown is Santa Fe, Arizona, instead of Santa Fe, New Mexico.
Wait, what? That can't be right. I mean, someone who knows the Fenn treasure hunt that well wouldn't make a mistake like that.
Right. It has to be a clue. It's got to be a deliberate red herring just to throw people off. Or maybe, just maybe, it's a cipher, a hidden message inside the misspelling itself.
Now, that's a theory I haven't heard before. It's not unheard of for treasure hunt creators to use those little errors, those misspellings, to hide something deeper. JCB's definitely given us a lot to think about, that's for sure.
He's playing the long game, no doubt. And he's definitely studied Fenn's methods, all that misdirection, those layered clues. And guess what? He makes that same Santa Fe, Arizona error in his poem for the Forest Fenn box.
Okay, now that can't be coincidence. He's trying to tell us something, I just know it. The question is, what is it? Is he testing how closely we're paying attention? Our ability to see past the obvious? Or maybe he's just messing with us, enjoying all the speculation he's created.
Only time will tell. But one thing's for sure, JCB has created a treasure hunt that's both intellectually stimulating and deeply rooted in the legacy of the Fenn treasure hunt.
He's taken the torch from Fenn and is running with it. This is a whole new chapter in treasure hunting history, and it's going to captivate everyone, seasoned Fenn hunters and new adventurers alike.
He's given us a new mystery to solve, a new challenge to conquer, new treasures to find. And I don't know about you, but I can't wait to see how this all plays out. But before we get too carried away, there's something crucial we need to talk about, something every treasure hunter needs to think about.
You're talking about safety, right? I mean, as exciting as treasure hunting is, it's still an outdoor activity and there are risks.
Exactly. And this is where JCB's approach is really different from Fenn's. Remember all those stories about Fenn treasure hunters getting lost, injured, even putting themselves in dangerous situations? JCB's gone above and beyond to make his hunts safe and accessible.
Right. He's really stressed that the treasures are in safe, accessible locations. No crazy cliff scaling, no treacherous rapids, no need for any special gear.
He wants this to be a fun, family-friendly adventure, something you can do with your kids, your grandkids, without anyone getting hurt. He's even said don't search during winter because, snow and ice make things way more dangerous.
It shows he's learned from the past, both from his own time as a Fenn treasure hunter and from those incidents during that hunt.
He's putting the safety and well-being of the treasure hunters first, while still offering a challenge and a chance to find something amazing.
It's a tough balance to strike, and honestly, a lot of people in the treasure hunting community really appreciate it. It acknowledges the risks while keeping that sense of adventure alive.
It reminds us that a treasure hunt can be exciting and safe at the same time. That being smart and making good choices is part of the experience.
So let's shift gears for a minute and talk about the why behind this treasure hunt. What do we know about JCB's motivations? What's driving him?
Well, that's where things get even more interesting. Fenn was a bit of a mystery. His motivations were kind of hard to figure out. But JCB, he's been a bit more open, although he's still got that cryptic side.
Right, he's hinted that he wants to create a hunt that's more inclusive, more accessible, and ultimately more enjoyable for more people. And knowing he was a Fenn treasure hunter himself, he's clearly taken those lessons and applied them to his own hunt.
He's also talked about wanting to spark a sense of wonder and adventure in people, to encourage them to get out there, explore the world, connect with others who share their passion for discovery.
It's a great goal, and it really fits with the whole spirit of treasure hunting. It's not just about the riches, it's about the journey, the challenges, the friendships, that sense of accomplishment when you solve a puzzle.
It's about getting back to that childlike sense of wonder, reminding people that adventure still exists, even in a world that can feel so predictable, so routine.
And maybe, just maybe, it's also about JCB wanting to build on what Forrest Fenn started, to keep that torch burning, to inspire a whole new generation of treasure hunters.
Maybe he sees himself as someone who's protecting that treasure hunting tradition, someone who wants to make sure the thrill of the chase keeps captivating people, inspiring them for years to come.
Whatever his reasons, one thing's for sure, JCB's created a treasure hunt that's generating a ton of excitement, a ton of intrigue, and it's only a matter of time before someone finds that first treasure chest.
And, we'll be here to break it all down, analyze those clues, figure out the strategies, and celebrate the ingenuity of both the hunter and the hider. But before we get there, let's take a closer look at the book. There's treasure inside. Let's explore some of those intriguing elements JCB's included, those little details that make this hunt so fascinating.
Sounds like a plan. Let's peel back the layers of this puzzle and see if we can understand how JCB's mind works.
I'm ready to unlock this mystery.
We were talking about how JCB crafted this whole thing with the Fenn community in mind. But what's really wild is how he's messing with their expectations, like making them go beyond what they learned during the Fenn hunt.
Totally. Remember, everyone was obsessed with Fenn's poem, analyzing every little word and phrase for some hidden meaning. JCB gives us a poem, yeah, but then he throws in all these other clues and materials too. It's like he's saying, hey, don't just get stuck on the poem, there's more to it, look at the whole picture.
Yeah, exactly. He gives us those treasure maps we talked about, the Appalachian Trail one, and the one from Fenn's book, Too Far to Walk. And then there are those descriptions of places and journeys, like that road trip from North Carolina to Houston. Sounds like a hint about the Pokemon box, right?
It's like he's giving us all these different paths to explore, multiple ways to get into this puzzle. Maybe you're amazing at deciphering poetry, or maybe you're a geography whiz who loves planning routes. Either way, JCB's made it so you can engage with the hunt.
And let's not forget about those smaller treasure boxes, each with its own chapter in the book. Like if you're all about those Pokemon cards, you can just focus on that chapter and forget the rest for now. Could be a good strategy, give you a head start.
It's like he turned the whole thing into a game, different levels of difficulty, and people can choose their own path. You can go for the big one, the lion's share, or focus on a specific treasure you really want. So smart.
I think that shows JCB's goal of making it more inclusive, more engaging for everyone. He's not just thinking about the hardcore treasure hunters who'll spend years deciphering clues. He wants people who are new to this, or who just want a fun challenge without getting overwhelmed, to have a chance to.
Speaking of overwhelmed, what about that Santa Fe, Arizona thing? That's been driving treasure hunters crazy.
Yeah.
Clue. Red herring. Mistake.
Uh,
I'm going back and forth on that one myself.
I bet that's exactly what he wants. He wants us to be unsure, keep us guessing, make us question everything. Remember how good Fen was at misdirection? Looks like JCB's picked up a few tricks from the masseter.
And remember how he makes that same Santa Fe, Arizona mistake in the poem for the Forest Fen box? That can't be an accident, right? It's like he wants us to overthink it, get lost in all the possibilities.
He's playing with us for sure. He knows a lot of Fen treasure hunters spent years studying maps and analyzing geography. So by throwing in this error, he's making us rethink everything. It's brilliant. It forces us to question what we thought we knew and be open to new ideas.
It's like he's saying, don't get too comfy with your old methods. This is a new game, a new challenge. You got to think outside the box to win this one.
Yeah, exactly. And that leads to another big thing JCB talks about, shifting perspectives. He doesn't want us to get stuck in that confirmation bias trap, where you only see what you want to see, what fits your ideas.
He's encouraging us to be more flexible, think about multiple interpretations, and be willing to let go of our theories if they don't hold up. That's a good lesson, even outside of treasure hunting.
It is being adaptable, open-minded, learning from your mistakes, realizing there's always more than one way to solve a problem, and the obvious answer might not be the right one.
It's about embracing the uncertainty, the mystery that comes with a treasure hunt. Kind of like life, isn't it? We rarely have all the answers, and things are always changing.
That's a great point. Now let's talk about the deeper meaning behind all of this, because, yeah, the excitement of the chase and the treasure are great, but I think there's more to it.
I agree. It's about community, a shared goal, connecting with people who love to explore and discover things. The Fen treasure hunt brought people together from all walks of life. There was this feeling of camaraderie and shared adventure. I think JCB is trying to capture that same feeling.
Absolutely. And in a world where everyone feels so isolated, so disconnected, that feeling of community is more important than ever. It's about finding common ground, sharing what you know, supporting each other on a journey.
It's about remembering we're not alone in our curiosity, our desire to learn, our thirst for adventure.
And maybe, just maybe, it's also about JCB wanting to build on Forest Fen's legacy, to carry that torch, inspire a new generation of treasure hunters.
It's just a beautiful thought, isn't it? To create something that not only brings joy and excitement, but also builds community, encourages personal growth, and makes a positive impact on the world.
It's about more than just the treasure. It's about human connection, shared experiences, that spirit of adventure that makes treasure hunting so meaningful.
So true. Okay, let's get back to the details of this hunt. We talked about the poem, the maps, the Santa Fe, Arizona thing, but what about the treasures themselves? What do they tell us about JCB?
I think his choices say a lot about what he's trying to do and how well he understands the treasure hunting community. You have the traditional stuff, the gold coins, the precious metals, the rare collectibles. That appeals to the classic treasure hunter, someone who wants something valuable, something that shows their efforts paid off.
But then you have the stuff with more meaning, like the signed first edition of The Thrill of the Chase, the olive jar, those historical artifacts. Those speak to a different kinds of treasure hunters, someone who's drawn to history, connection, owning a piece of something significant.
Exactly. And then there's the stuff that's trendy right now, like the Pokemon cards and that Casasious Bitcoin. That tells me JCB is thinking about younger treasure hunters too, the ones who are more into technology and what's new.
It's like he's building a bridge between generations, bringing people of all ages together through their shared love of exploration and discovery.
And that brings us to something else that sets JCB's hunt apart from Fen's: accessibility. He's made it clear he wants everyone to have a chance, no matter their physical abilities or how much money they have.
Right. Some people thought the Fen treasure hunt was too physically demanding, too dangerous, all that hiking through rough terrain, the risks involved. JCB's addressed those concerns directly.
Yeah, he's hidden the treasures in places most people can reach, not too far from roads and trails. He even says the farthest you'll have to hike from a road to find a treasure is 3 miles, no more.
It makes it more inclusive, potentially more enjoyable for everyone. You don't need to be an expert hiker or outdoorsman to play. Just grab a copy of the book, bring your sense of adventure, and get ready to explore.
And remember, he said no searching during winter because snow and ice can make things really dangerous, even an easy hike.
He's putting safety and accessibility first, which is great. He wants it to be challenging and rewarding, but also safe.
And that's a message a lot of people appreciate, especially after what happened during the Fen treasure hunt. It's a good reminder that treasure hunting should be fun, not something reckless that puts people in danger.
For sure. It's about finding that balance between the thrill of the chase and being responsible.
Speaking of responsibility, let's talk about another thing JCB's emphasized: taking care of the environment.
You mean his leave no trace idea? He's really serious about treasure hunters respecting the environment, not damaging or disturbing nature.
Exactly. He said the treasures aren't buried, so no digging or anything like that. He wants people to have fun, but also protect nature.
It's a responsible approach, and it fits with what a lot of outdoor enthusiasts believe in.
And it reminds us that treasure hunting, just like anything else you do outdoors, comes with a responsibility to protect the places we explore.
It's about leaving things as beautiful as we found them so future generations can enjoy them too.
That's especially important now with climate change and all the worries about how humans are impacting the planet.
It reminds us that we can follow our passions, have adventures, but still be mindful of our impact.
Well said. Now let's talk about one of the most fascinating parts of JCB's treasure hunt: the mystery.
Oh yeah, he's great at keeping us guessing. The secret message in the olive jar, the Santa Fe, Arizona thing, Fenn's treasure map. He's keeping us on our toes.
I think that's what makes treasure hunting so captivating, that allure of the unknown, the thrill of figuring out clues, wondering what you'll find next.
It's about using your imagination, thinking critically, tapping into that childlike sense of wonder.
And JCB knows exactly how to create that sense of wonder and intrigue. He gives us just enough to make us curious, get our minds working, and send us off on a quest.
But he also holds back enough to keep us guessing, to make us work for those answers, to make the journey just as exciting as the destination.
That's smart, isn't it? Because in the end, isn't that what treasure hunting is all about? The challenge, the friends you make along the way, the thrill of the chase, the joy of discovering something amazing.
It's about pushing your limits, exploring new places, learning new things, connecting with people who share your love of adventure.
And who knows? Maybe one of us listening right now will be the one to crack the code, find the treasure, and become a part of treasure hunting history.
Now that would be something. Okay, so we've talked about a lot, but now let's get to what's probably the most exciting part of this whole thing, especially for you Fenn fans out there.
Uh-huh.
The Forest Fenn box.
Oh yeah, this box is like a mini version of the whole hunt. It's packed with stuff that points back to Fenn, little tributes, and maybe even clues to JCB's bigger puzzle.
It's almost like he wants us to go back to the Fenn treasure hunt, use what we learned during that crazy chase to solve this new one.
And he didn't just throw in random Fenn stuff either. The items in this box are carefully chosen. Each one seems to have a deeper meaning, you know?
Like that 2.25-ounce gold nugget, for example. It's a clear nod to the gold nuggets Fenn hid in his treasure chest, right? But it also reminds us about the reward, that thrill of finding something valuable, something that makes all the effort worthwhile.
And then there's that first edition of The Thrill of the Chase, signed by Forrest Fenn himself. That's not just a collectible, it's a piece of history, a connection to the man who started this whole modern treasure hunt craze.
Imagine holding that book, knowing Fenn touched it, signed it, maybe even thought about the clues to his treasure while he was holding it. It gives me chills just thinking about it.
It really speaks to that emotional connection people have to the Fenn treasure hunt, the community, the adventure, the whole experience. For someone who is really into that hunt, finding this book would be like finding the Holy Grail.
It would be like, yes, it was all worth it. A real reward for their dedication, a reminder of that journey they shared with so many other people.
And then, of course, there's the big one, Forrest Fenn's olive jar, the actual jar that supposedly held the blaze, and the memoir that led to Fenn's treasure.
Okay, this one really gets me thinking. What is JCB doing here? Is he honoring Fenn? Is this a distraction? Or is there something more to it, some hidden meaning we're not seeing?
It's hard to say for sure, but I doubt he'd include something so important without a reason. Remember how Fenn loved symbolism, using objects and images to mean something deeper? Maybe JCB is doing the same thing.
And remember, he said there's a secret message inside the jar, something only he knows, that just makes it even more mysterious. A clue to the big treasure. A final message from Fenn. What could it be?
He's a master at keeping us in suspense, that's for sure. And don't forget, the poem he wrote specifically for the Forrest Fenn box. 24 lines, same style, same stanzas, Fenn's The Thrill of the Chase. Even the rhyme scheme and meter are the same.
It's like he's challenging those Fenn treasure hunters, saying, you spent years studying Fenn's words, now try to crack mine.
It's brilliant. He's recognizing their skills, their knowledge of Fenn's style, and giving them a new puzzle to solve. But here's where it gets really tricky, maybe even a little frustrating for people who want a straightforward answer.
You're talking about that Santa Fe, Arizona thing again, right?
Yeah.
The mistake in the book and the poem for the Forrest Fenn box.
Yep. That's the one. We've talked about all the theories, right? Some think it's a clue, a way to trick people who take things too literally. Others think it's a cipher, a hidden message in the misspelling.
And some think it's just a mistake, nothing more.
But he repeats it in the poem, where you'd think every word is chosen carefully. That makes me think it's more than a simple error. But what does it mean? That's the million-dollar question.
It's making everyone crazy. They're going over every word of JCB's poem, looking for hidden meanings, connections to Fenn's treasure. They're trying to figure out what that Santa Fe, Arizona thing could possibly mean.
And I think JCB's loving it. He's created a puzzle with layers. It's complex, open to different interpretations. He wants us to think critically, be creative, and try new approaches.
It's a real mental workout, testing how well we can think and whether we can see past the obvious. And for true treasure hunters, that's part of the excitement.
Exactly. It's about the journey, the challenge, the thrill of putting the pieces together, and that amazing feeling when you finally figure it out.
So what does this all mean for you guys listening, you who were caught up in the Fenn treasure hunt and are ready for a new adventure?
It means JCB's created a treasure hunt just for you, for your skills, your knowledge, your love of exploring.
He's challenging you to use what you learned from Fenn to push your limits. Think outside the box.
He's giving you a new mystery to solve, new treasures to find, a new community to be a part of.
The adventure is just beginning, so grab a copy of There's Treasure Inside, get your treasure hunting buddies together, and get ready for a journey that could change your life.
And remember, the real treasure isn't just in the chest at the end. It's in the journey, the challenges, the connections you make, the memories you create along the way.